Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing the books that I read in December as well as the books that I plan to read in January. So the first portion we are going to be discussing the books that I read in December. Honestly, December was a very strange month, but my reads were amazing, so I think that makes up for the strangeness. So let's just jump right into it. The first book that I read in December was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This was the Besties and Books book club pick for the month of November. I read it a little bit late. I absolutely adore this book. It was a reread for me, so I was already familiar with the world and everything that was happening, but it was so great to be back in this world and be back with the characters, and it helped remind me why I love reading so much, since that was like one of the first books that got me very into reading. It was very fun to read it with our little book club, and I had a great time. Six of Crows is following our cast of 6 characters, and they are given this job for a heist to break into this really high security ICE prison. But when they get there, they realize it's not everything that's cracked up to be. There's something fishy going on, and it's just fantastic. I love the cast of characters. The world is beautiful. Leigh Bardugo just has such like a special writing style, and I love it so much. It is definitely really hyped up, and it's definitely having like a resurgence because book talk is blowing up, but it is so worth it. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend that you do. I ended up giving that 5 out of 5 stars. Next up, we have a little bit of a disappointing book, and that is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I recently read the first 2 books in the series, The Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Good Girl Bad Blood. I recently read the first 2 books in the series, and I adored them, and I had very high hopes going into As Good as Dead, and it started out very strong, and I really enjoyed it, but there was just something about it that it just didn't feel like the rest of the series. I guessed the suspect very early on, and then just the way that it wrapped up, I was a little bit unsatisfied with, so I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. The next 4 books we have, you can probably guess what it is by the number. Heartstopper volumes 1 through 4. Perfection, literal chef's kiss. I adored these so much. I watched the show on Netflix when it first came out, and I was obsessed. I love Nick and Charlie so much, and I finally got around to getting the volumes since I finally figured out how to use Libby. If you want more of my thoughts, I did read volumes 3 and 4 in a reading vlog recently, so if you want to check that out, I will link it above. I did not realize that volume 5 is going to be the last volume in the series, and I am heartbroken. It's said to come out in February. I am not ready to depart with these characters. I'm very excited, but I feel like it's going to break my little heart. So I obviously gave all of these 5 out of 5 stars. I definitely recommend it if you haven't read it yet. And then next up, we have continuing a series that I started recently and I absolutely adore. And I'm so sad that I didn't read it sooner, but like I'm very happy that I'm reading it now. I feel like it's the perfect time, which is Scarlet and Caress by Miss Marissa Meyer. These are so good. Honestly, the best decision of my life was reading the Lunar Chronicles. I'm having such a good time with these. They're just so perfect. I gave Scarlet a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I gave Cress a 5 out of 5 stars. As of right now, I think this is one of my favorites in the series. We pretty much got almost all of the characters in here, and I just loved Cress. The interaction between all of them, it was just so good, and it was so well done. The stakes were definitely higher in this one. I loved Scarlet, but I feel like Cress just had a little bit more something in there. I did finish it, by the way. I switched over to my Kindle, and I still need to go through and add my annotations into my physical copy. If you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles, I definitely recommend it. It is sci-fi, but it's so easy to get into. I feel like Marissa Meyer does it in a way that's very easy to digest and like understand. Just be wary that one of the main plot points in the first book is a plague, which, you know, I love the Lunar Chronicles so much. It's definitely becoming one of my favorite series ever. Oh, I also read Fairest, which is the novella following Levena's point of view. I still don't know how to pronounce her name. I liked it and I enjoyed it, but her mind is very scary to be in, so once I was done reading it, I was so excited to jump into winter because I did not want to be in her brain any longer. I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars. But the Lunar Chronicles is like classic fairy tale retellings, but very loosely and in a sci-fi setting. Like it's so good. It's perfection. I don't know why I didn't read it sooner, but if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend you do. It is such a good time, and the characters are just so amazing, and like I'm having the time of my life, and I can strongly say that the Lunar Chronicles is definitely becoming one of my new favorite series. So that is all the books that I read in the month of December. Honestly, it was a great reading month, and I I think it was a perfect way to close out the year. Now, we're getting into the books I want to read in January. Preface every TBR video by saying this. I am a mood reader, but I like to have a little bit of a direction of what I want to read and what I want to consume, just to give me a little bit of an idea, you know, of like what I could potentially read. For the most part, I stick to my TBRs, but I stray from them a little bit. But these are the ones that I'm really hoping to get to in January because I feel like it will be a perfect way to kickstart the year. This is one that I have been talking about a lot on my channel and one that I am very, very excited to get to, and I can't believe I have a physical copy of it because it is absolutely gorgeous. Babel by R.F. Kuang. Look at it. Look at her in all her glory. I am so excited for this one. I have been dying to read this ever since I discovered its existence. I can't believe I have a copy. Still shook. The next one I am actually currently reading, and that is Winter. I don't know how far I am. Oh wait, yes I do. I think I'm on chapter 60. Oh my gosh, wait, I'm almost on the next book. Ah! Okay, yes, I am on chapter 60. Let me put these in here. I'm a little bit over halfway, and I was actually initially reading this on my Kindle, but my Kindle Unlimited subscription ran out, and I was so excited last night to just curl up and read this book. But then I opened my Kindle, and all my Kindle Unlimited books were gone, and I was so heartbroken. I thought I had a little bit more time, but I did not. My library luckily had a copy, so I zoomed over there to get my copy. And I'm so excited to continue this. So sad that it's going to conclude, but literally so much has happened in this book so far, and I can't believe I've already read 500 pages. But then I also picked up Stars Above, which I wasn't planning on getting. I honestly don't know what this is about. So sad to leave the Lunar Chronicles behind, but like it was such a good experience to read through it, and it's been a while since I've been this invested in a series. Next up, we have the Besties and Books book club pick for the month of January, which is Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry, and I am very excited for this one. Besties and Books is a book club that I host with my friend Brittany, and every month we pick a different book. We do polls over on Twitter to decide what our next read is. So if you want to be involved in next month's picking, definitely go follow us over on Twitter. We also announce like live show updates and all that stuff. Honestly, I don't know too much about this book, but that's a common theme here, is I don't like to know too much about books before I go into them, but this one I'm very excited for. The cover is so cute. Next up, we have one that I feel like is pretty ambitious, The Ghosts of the Shadow Market. I don't remember what other TBRs I put this on, but it has been on a lot of TBRs, and I feel like it's time. And that's partly because Chain of Thorns comes out this month. I want to catch up a little bit, so we're going to start with Ghosts of the Shadow Market. Honestly, I don't know what this is about. I think Jem is very prominent in these stories, which I hope so because I love him so much. Next, we have a reread of one of my all-time favorite manga series, and that is Fullmetal Alchemist. I cannot even express to you how much I love Fullmetal Alchemist. Like, it has my whole heart and my whole soul. I just can't explain my love for this series. It's so good. I feel like I just need to be back in this world. I haven't read it since 2020. So I feel like I'm overdue for a reread, and I am so excited. So Fullmetal Alchemist is following our main character, Edward and Alphonse Elric, and when they are younger, their mother passes away, and they decide to do the forbidden and try to bring her back to life with alchemy and transmutation. That ends up going south, and Alphonse ends up losing his whole body, and he is now bound to a suit of armor, and Edward loses an arm and a leg. So this is following them trying to figure out how to get their bodies back and how to reverse this thing that they did. There's so much more to it than that, and it's really good. I love Fullmetal Alchemist. So, as I am filming this video, this book comes out tomorrow, and honestly, my brain cannot process Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Ninth House duology. Trilogy. I'm not quite sure how many books are going to be on it. This is a potential. I don't know if I'm going to get to it in January because I feel like I'm going to be too scared. Like, I want to get to it, but if I don't, that's fine. Ninth House I read in October, I think, but I adored it. It took me 3 tries to fully fall in love with it and get into it, but once the ball got rolling, I was obsessed and I could not stop reading. Yeah, it's one of my new favorite books, and it's just so good. That is it for this video. If you have read any of these books, definitely let me know your thoughts. And let me know what you guys are planning on reading in January, what your favorite books were in December. We talked about a lot of books in this video, and honestly, I feel like all of them are fantastic. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to this point, I love you all very, very much. Comment down below the party hat explodey thing, celebrity emoji. This one. All of my socials will be linked down in the description. My Twitch, my Instagram, my Twitter, and my Goodreads, if you would like to follow me on any of those, as well as the besties and books information. And yes, I will see you guys in my next video. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you all have a fantastic new year and that it treats you well and that your January reads kickstart your year off to a fantastic start. Bye!